Welcome to the Healthy Brain Podcast. I'm in holiday mode now. I have my tree lit in the background if you're watching this on video. But if not, it's nice and festive and I can see it. The tree, when I'm working with my clients and my patients, I can see it in the background and they enjoy it. I enjoy it. It just is really nice, especially in the morning when it's a little darker and the lights are twinkling. Okay, so today's episode is the brain benefits of meditation. And I realize that I have had other episodes where I talk about how to choose a meditation and I talk a little bit about the brain benefits, but I thought it would be really helpful for you because this is how I look at meditation for my clients, my coaching clients, and even my patients in cognitive rehab. I truly believe everyone should meditate. They should learn how to meditate. And many people don't meditate because they think they're doing it wrong. And really, there's no real right way to meditate. There's many versions of meditation. But for this episode, what I thought would be helpful is for me to really connect with how you may be feeling. If you're feeling in this holiday season, you're feeling stressed out, you're anxious, you're overwhelmed, you feel like you're behind. I know that's me a lot of times. You feel distracted, you are more irritated. Maybe you could be a bit depressed going into this holiday season, insecure, discouraged. So I'll ask you now, how are you feeling right now? We're in the thick of the holiday season if you're listening to this in the first couple weeks of this episode. So how are you feeling right now? What's your general feeling of the ones that I gave? Or maybe you're feeling positive and hopeful, which is awesome. So first off, we want to name how we're feeling and acknowledge the feeling. So we don't want to ignore it. And then you have two choices. You can either continue feeling this way, and many people, they don't think they have a choice. They're just like, well, my circumstances are making me feel overwhelmed and stressed and distracted. I went to morning mass this morning, and there was a family that I counted the kids. And I thought, oh, they have 4 kids. No, they had 6 kids. In the morning, they go frequently. I mean, I don't go every morning. During the Advent season, I am attempting to go more often. But wow, I know when I had my 4 kids, I sure as heck, I was not bringing them to church. I wish I might have. Now, they went to Catholic school, but this dedication and this level that this family is showing, I'm sure that the parents are feeling overwhelmed at times and stressed. And that's just why I'm bringing up the point. Regardless if you have little kids, now my kids are older, there's a different type of feeling that comes up for people. So you have a choice. You can either continue feeling this way, or do you want to feel a different way? And I'm sure many of you do. Do you want to feel hopeful, connected, excited, purposeful, joyful, and peaceful this holiday season? I know for me, one of the big words here, the emotion, is peace. I want to feel peace. I want to feel presence. I really want, not presence. I want presents under the tree, but I want presence. I want to be present. And I can often get pulled away because there's so many things to get done. So most people, I believe, they want to feel these positive emotions. Do you? But they don't know, and maybe you don't know, how to shift. And they think it's impossible to shift the mindset. And that's why I love coaching so much, because I encourage and teach my clients that it is possible to shift the mindset, to give them examples, to have them try out the coaching tools and see that they can shift their mindset. It really is awesome to see in my program, my Legacy Life program. We're coming up to the end of the 3-month or the 90-day push that we have. And I have a new one starting, the 90-day Jumpstart Your Health. I actually did a reel the other day, and I said, the 20-day, where the heck did I get 20-day out of it? But it's the 90-day Jumpstart Your Health. This, before I get into the meat of this episode, which is all about meditation, that this is a tool. This I want to show you how it can help you shift from the negative emotion to a more positive emotion. And there are changes that happen in the brain. And I hope that at the end, after I explain everything, that you will try out meditation. And I believe so strongly, like I said, in meditation, that I think everybody should do it. I've included it as instructing, giving people videos, giving them resources, showing them how to meditate, giving them different examples in a health plan. And I guide people through all of this in the Legacy Life Jumpstart Your Health, the 90-day that we're coming up to in January. But I do have a bonus. I want to let you know the bonus is expiring in the next couple of days. It's really just for Cyber Week. I may extend it through to Sunday, December 7th, because to give you time, especially if you're listening to this episode of the podcast, you get some bonuses, some great bonuses. You don't have to wait till January to start in the Legacy Life Coaching Program. You can start in December, right when you join. You'll get access right away. You can start prioritizing your health right away. And that's especially advantageous when we're getting into the holiday season and we need an accountability. I'm going to be sharing some different, some little tips and tricks and blah, blah, blah. I'm sort of stumbling on my words here. Coming up with different recipes, healthier recipes for the holiday season. The other bonuses in this Cyber Week, and this may extend a little bit longer, but it's the guidebook, 90-day guidebook and planner. This is awesome. And also access to my 2026 vision and goal setting workshop that's on December 30th. Okay, so to find the link, go to the show notes, and there you'll see a little button you can click, and it will take you to the website that explains the whole 90-day Jumpstart Your Health. If you have questions, you can definitely respond back. My email is hkw@heathercolwichwellness.com. Follow me on Instagram as well, because I'm sharing little tips and tricks and brain stuff over there on Instagram, Heather Colwich. Okay, so let's get into the meat of this. The benefits of meditation. What happens with meditation when it's consistent is that it promotes neuroplasticity. Now, if you have been following for a while, I do talk about neuroplasticity. If even you've been looking into some of the brain research, and just a lot of people talk about neuroplasticity and what is it. I do have a couple of episodes where I do talk about it, but basically it's how the brain adapts depending on what you have the brain process. Neuroplasticity can be beneficial because it can help this shift in mindset, definitely. Meditation also enhances network connectivity. I'll be doing an episode later, maybe in the new year, because it's a little heavier, and I wanted to make sure that I did distill down the information so people can understand it better. Because even myself, I'm in brain rehabilitation, cognitive rehab for over 25 years, and I still have to be like, oh, what is that network again? So basically, there's areas of the brain that are in charge of certain skills that we can do, how we communicate, our word finding, our attention, our memory, our emotional regulation. But within those areas of the brain, and many people know of them, like the left above the ear is the area for word finding, the olfactory bulb, the parietal strip, which is more for motor planning. So people may know the area of the brain, but then within the area and between the areas of the brain, there's a thing called networks. And the networks are they communicate. And that's why the brain is so complex. It's not just like, okay, I'm going to do a bicep curl and I'm firing off. I know it's a little more complex, but than how I'm describing it. But the brain communicates to the muscle to contract. Whereas when someone has to remember something, when they have to think of a word, when they are trying to pay attention, it involves many different networks that turn on or dim. Not completely turn off, but there's this symphony that's happening in the brain where there's just different, like the woodwinds are playing and then the brass and then the percussion. I don't know where that analogy came from, but I just thought of like an orchestra. That really is what the brain is as it's working. Now, we want to enhance this network connectivity. And that helps, meditation helps our brain to improve network connectivity, communication, basically. There's also improvement and thickness in the cortex. The cortex is sort of the outside part of the brain, and that increases in size. It thickens with meditation. Meditation also affects neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters, some of them you may have heard of: dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, noradrenaline or adrenaline. Those are neurotransmitters, and those help our cells communicate to each other, which in then turn communicate the neurons, and the body parts all communicate. So it's a symphony, like I said. Specifically in the brain, there's been recent research, even in the early 2000s, really, I've been looking into this research with the brain for many, many years, because I was fascinated how it helped me, but also I knew that there were people researching this. So there's an increase in thickness in the prefrontal cortex. I'm just going to go through some brain areas and then I'm going to break it down. There's an increase in thickness, gray matter concentration, increase in that in the prefrontal cortex. There's increased activity in the hippocampus, and that's like deep down in the deep part of the brain, the hippocampus. It sort of looks like a little seahorse, and that's near the basal ganglia and the amygdala. Speaking of amygdala, with meditation, there's decreased activity in the amygdala. In the temporal parietal junction, the temporal parietal junction, there's increased activity. And in an area called the ACC, anterior cingulate cortex, there's increased activity. So, wow, that's great. There's an increase in activity or a decrease in activity, but what does it mean to you? So that's how I broke it down, because it sounds complex. And this actually, it helps me to look at it this way as well. So if you're feeling stressed and you want to feel calm and peace, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the predominant negative emotion that you could be feeling. You want to feel, so that's stress, you want to feel calm and peace. What part of the brain is changing because you're meditating? Because, we are telling you, me as a cognitive rehab therapist and a brain health coach, I'm telling you, encouraging you to meditate. And you hear from the doctors and you hear from people on Instagram and TikTok, you should meditate. But why? Like, why? What is it doing in the brain? So this is a cool thing. Okay. So you want to feel more calm and peace because you're feeling stressed out, calm and peace. Well, what happens is in the amygdala, and you've heard of this fight, flight, freeze, right? And that is when we feel that something is wrong. Our brain protects us by increasing activity in the amygdala. But what happens then is that we're in a chronic, like almost a vigilant state, where our nervous system and our heart rate goes up, our sympathetic nervous system is activated. And what it means is the prefrontal cortex, the other areas of the brain are not online. They're dimmed when the amygdala is more active. So we want to switch this. We want to calm or dim the amygdala, not completely get rid of it, but dim the amygdala. And this happens in meditation. There's decreased activity with the amygdala. So what happens is the different parts of the brain that brain connectivity can occur. Okay, let's take another emotion or how you're feeling. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. You want to feel more present. You also want to feel more organized. I know during the holiday season, I want to be organized so I know what I'm doing. I don't want to feel so overwhelmed. So the prefrontal cortex, this front part of the brain, there's an increase in gray matter and thickness with meditation. When this prefrontal cortex is active, more activity, we will be more organized, more productive. We start a task, we end a task. There's a lot of skills in this prefrontal cortex. So with meditation, there's increased activity in the prefrontal cortex. Hence, you will feel more present and more calm, organized, okay? Let's say the feeling is distracted. You want to feel more focused. You want to have more attention, more presence. Again, that's the prefrontal cortex. Let's say just backtracking, that's when meditation can affect the prefrontal cortex. Then you'll feel more focused, more attentive. Let's say you're feeling irritated or anxious. You want to feel more accepting and connected. Well, the temporoparietal junction, this area over here, sort of side and top, that is in charge of attention. Well, also prefrontal cortex is in charge of attention. But remember when I talked about connectivity and networks? But this area enhances or is in charge of attention, empathy, self-awareness, and emotional regulation. This one is huge. So with meditation, we're going to have an increased activity in that temporal-parietal junction, which is in charge of emotional regulation, self-awareness, attention, empathy. So that's how we can shift. One of the tools is meditation, because we can shift from that irritated, anxious to more accepting, connected. Now, you could be feeling just generally emotionally overreactive. In the holidays, oh gosh, that happens. You want to feel more balanced. And that's that temporal parietal junction. We want to increase the activity there. You can do that with meditation. All right, let's take a couple more feelings. Let's say you're feeling depressed or insecure. You want to feel more hope and presence, more content. And that area of the brain that can help is the connectivity between networks. So that's the principle of network connectivity, but it's also the prefrontal cortex, which is in charge of sort of this emotional regulation as well as the self-regulation, in addition to that temporal parietal junction. Now, the last emotion, now I could go through and make connections, but the last one I would say, let's say you're feeling forgetful. Like this is a common thing when people are feeling overwhelmed, stressed, but they are more forgetful. Their memory is lapsing. They want to have more clarity. They want to get rid of the brain fog and just feel more clarity. And remember, I mentioned that hippocampus, there's an increase in activity in the hippocampus. The hippocampus is in charge of new learning and memory. And when we can do something to enhance the activity in that area, one being meditation, another huge thing that you can do is exercise. Get that blood flowing. It specifically has been shown to help the hippocampus to increase activity. Hence, you'll have improved memory, new learning as well. So this, I hope I was able to break down the emotions. And if you're watching on video, I had my hands going and I'm explaining it all because I really think it's important. If more people knew about the brain benefits of meditation, like what is actually happening. And let me just mention though, it doesn't mean meditating one time a week. It's consistency. There's different times, like the amount of time that people meditate. One that's out there is like 13 minutes, multiple times a week. 13 minutes. Maybe some research studies are saying 5 to 6 days for 13 minutes. You'd be surprised how you can make it more of a regular routine and a habit. But that's really where the coaching program, I help people to implement healthy habits. And one of the healthy habits is meditation. So we go through different ways that we can help support the brain to start doing a habit consistently. So I hope you check out this 90-day Jumpstart Your Health. I would love to help you right now and leading into 2026. Come and join me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.